Hello and welcome to Learn Python 3, the hard way, exercise 1. In this exercise, we're going to get a first program going. Now, you should have gone through exercise 0 for your operating system. That can be Windows, OS X, or Linux. I'm going to use Windows to record this simply because it's easier for me. But these exercises work on all three platforms. That's because the text editor, Atom, or Visual Studio Code works on all operating systems. And also, I'm using PowerShell, but PowerShell actually runs on pretty much any operating system. And also, Python works on any operating system. But you don't have to use PowerShell. On Linux, use whatever you like. That's going to be Bash. On OS X, just use Terminal. Whatever you like. This should all run the same. Now you can see I have some things here because I was messing around a little bit. So let me clear that. And on Windows, we run things with the word Python, the command Python. If you don't know how to use PowerShell or Terminal, you should go to Appendix A and go through the command line crash course. Once you've done that, then this will make a lot more sense. Now, if you are on OS X or Linux, maybe Python will pull up Python 3.6 or 3.6.1 that you installed. If not, then you might have to type Python 3.6 like that. Now on Windows, that gives you an error. In the book, I had to standardize on something, so the book will read and tell you to type Python 3.6, but on Windows, just type Python. You're fine. I do not understand why they do that differently on different operating systems. It's just something you have to deal with. But it's pretty simple. Just type Python when you're on Windows. Okay, now let's do the first script. Now you notice I'm sort of flipping between desktops. And I'm doing that just so I can kind of show you the text editor and the browser where the code is, and then flip over to running it. Now, I'm doing it side by side so you can watch me do it. But the optimal way to do it, the way that would be better for you in learning, okay, is for you to full screen everything. So full screen that. And if I switch over to the browser, full screen that. Now we have these two full screen. And what I want you to do to help you learn this, when you type it in, is to look at some of the code, try to remember it. So that first line there, and then switch, and there you go. Type it in. That will help you remember the code and get a little bit better at it. But sometimes it's a little difficult. And also for the video, so that you can watch me do this, I'm going to switch these side by side. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to make sure that you did one of the exercises where you can get to this directory you created. That's exercise 0. You should be able to go to there, and we're going to save our first file there. If you don't know how to do that, again, Appendix A, command line crash course. Next, I'm going to go File, New File. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it. So in this case, it's Command S. If you're on OS X, it's going to be Command S. I'm sorry, on Windows, Control S, and on OS X, Command S. And then I type ex1.py. And I got to make sure I pick the Learn Python the Hard Way directory I created. Now you notice I put it in my quick access so I can get to it. So you should do the same thing. Then I do save. There we go. Now my file is ready to go. And if I switch over here real quick, I do ls again, you can see I have ex1.py. Now I'm going to type it in. I want you to know that I'm only going to do this for maybe 2 exercises. It's the same thing over and over. You see the code, you type the code in. Over and over again, that's what you're going to do. It's not useful to watch me type the code in. If you're someone who thinks you're a visual person and you have to watch me type the code in, you should understand that you're basically watching text on a video and believe that somehow that makes it more understandable. It's still text. Just because I put it in a video doesn't magically make it visual. It's text. So if you want to be able to code, you got to teach yourself to type from the book, just like I did right there. One of the fundamental things of learning to code is understanding text and analyzing semantic things. So this skill is something you develop while you go through my book. So if you're the type of person who believes that you only learn from videos, even though you're reading text in a video, forcing yourself to go slowly and do each exercise one at a time from the book will give you the skill you need to understand text. Trust me, it works. It just takes time if you believe or you have a reason why it's difficult for you. Okay, now I'm going to type this in. And like I said, I'm just doing this one time. I'm going to tell you a couple tricks about Atom. Okay, see how I got to right there? And it already has this over here. It sort of created the quote and the parentheses for me. Now, if I just type the quote like it's not there, it just goes right over it. So the trick with Atom is helping you, but sometimes it's not that helpful, is you just type like it never did that. Okay, and then this is fun. And you can use single quotes. You don't have to do double quotes. Printing. And let's do this one too. And see, all I'm doing, I'm not moving forward when I get to the end of these lines. I'm doing that, so Atom completes the tail end, and then I go, oh, I did this backwards. Single quote. Just like that. Single quote, that, and it just overwrites it like it doesn't even exist. Now, notice my file on the right is exactly the same as the file on the left. At least I think so. So I'm going to look super quick and double check that that's true. And I'm doing this very fast, but my brain has been hyper trained to be able to do this very fast. And even then, I'm guaranteed I could still make errors. But I'm checking every character and sort of like looking to make sure they're exactly the same. And exactly means exactly. I know that sounds stupid to say, but some people don't understand that. If I type capital P, Python says that's wrong. Just the way it is. Don't ask me why. That's just what they decided. There's particular reasons for it in the way that they design languages. And honestly, making it very consistent so that everyone reads print the same and they don't have to worry about differences in case between different people is actually better because you have to share your code with other people. So it may feel tedious and annoying at first, but eventually you'll come to understand that that's just a better way to do it. Now, once I have that file there, I type python ex1.py. And remember, if you're on another operating system, you might type python 3.6, you might have to do python -3.6. It's all depends on how you installed it. And then I hit enter and it ran. And that's it. That's the entire process. Now, as the book progresses, it gets much more difficult. But at first, well, I shouldn't say much more difficult. It's very gradual in how it increases in difficulty. But there are key points where it becomes difficult so that you jump over and you kind of test yourself to become better. When you hit those key points, don't give up. Just keep trying. We're going to cover a lot of different ways where you can solve debugging problems. Now, let's review what happens when we run this script. It's very simple. Python starts at the top. Okay, so when I do this, when I ran python ex1.py, okay, you are telling Python, open this ex1.py file, read the contents, and do what it says. That's the simplest way to explain what's going on. So when I say do what it says, do Python, you do these things in this ex1.py file. Python goes, okay. It says, you want me to print hello world. Now, we're going to get into this a whole lot because strings are very important and Python has many different ways to make strings. But these quotes are basically escapes. So Python goes print, okay, that's Python code. Parentheses, that's Python code. Quote, oh, okay, this is a user wants me to say something. This is displayed to a person. End quote. That's the end of the display stuff. And now we're in Python code. So it's almost as if Python is switching back and forth between what it thinks is code, commands that you should tell it what to do, and what you want to print to the user. And then it goes to the next line, and it does that. You tell it to command print, parentheses, here's the text I want, and done. If you read fiction books, you're basically almost acting like a character. Now, if we look over here, there's what the character said. Hello world, hello again. In the same way that a fiction book would use quotes to denote, to say what different characters are saying. And so on. This is a very, 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 very simple program. It's just printing a bunch of stuff. That's it. Classic beginning program. There you go. Now, we're going to do that a whole lot. One thing to keep in mind about my book is I take topics like printing and I break them down into a number of exercises. You don't learn printing in one exercise because as a beginner, it takes multiple exercises for you to understand a topic. So I very gradually move you through a topic. So keep in mind, when you do an exercise, do everything that's in here, everything I tell you, do the study drills as best as you can. You won't be able to do all of them, maybe. Some of them are just challenges. Some of them are things to get you to think about it. If there's one you can't do, write it down. Maybe later you come back. When you have questions, write them down. The next exercise might explain your questions or might explain the study drill. Maybe it's the 2 exercises later. But the idea is it takes you about 4 or 5 exercises to get through an entire topic. Each exercise does not explain the topic well on its own because many of the topics in programming take multiple things to explain them. Okay, once you've done this, you just move on to exercise 2, and that's that. I'll see you at exercise 2. I'm going to type that one in one more time, and then after that, no more typing them in. Unless there's something about typing it in that I feel you need to know. Okay, thank you.